Hi, it's good to see you again, Stephanie.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good.
Last time we spoke, we were speaking about issues about your father, and just like now we're talking about moving out of the state. What's going on?
Well, as far as my father goes, nothing has really changed. I spoke to him the day that we got home from the cruise after my wedding, which is in July, and the only time I've spoken to him since then was when he called for my birthday.
Oh.
So there's been no communication with me, with my older sister, you know, and I don't even really think so with my younger sister. He's really just...
Okay, and how do they feel about this also?
My little sister she really just doesn't want anything to do with him. Like I had invited her over for Thanksgiving because I was cooking.
Okay.
Her mother and stepfather were both working. I was like, oh my God, come spend Thanksgiving. Well, I had invited all of them over, but they were working. So my father reached out to her and asked her what she was doing for Thanksgiving. She said she was coming to my house.
Okay.
So he was like begging her to go spend Thanksgiving with him. She said, no, I want to spend the day with my sister and brother-in-law and my nieces. So that's what she did. She came over, spent the day with us, we had a great dinner. But, I mean, he's just made things very, it's very hard to have any kind of a relationship with him because he puts it across like we are supposed to reach out to him. He shouldn't have to. Like, the one time you do talk to him, it's, oh, you know, I miss you so much, I've been thinking about you, but he never picks up the phone and calls.
Okay, and how long ago did you say this was? Did you reach out?
I spoke to him in July, and then I spoke to him on my birthday, October 2nd, and that was it.
Oh, wow, and he hasn't reached out to you since then?
Nope. Well, I got a text message on Thanksgiving saying Happy Thanksgiving,
Oh, nice.
and that was about it. So we'll see how Christmas goes.
Okay, well, do you hope to see him on Christmas? Like, is he
Well,
coming?
My sister and I alternate years doing family Christmas on Christmas Day at each other's houses. And this year is, you know, it's my year, so my whole family will be coming over on Christmas to have dinner at my house. So I'm assuming he'll be there.
But that's important.
I wouldn't really be too upset though if he wasn't.
How's the relationship with him and the mom? How's that going?
With whose mom?
Yours?
Oh, they don't have a relationship at all. They've been divorced since I was 7.
Oh, but they still talk as friends and all that?
I mean, if they're at a family picnic, at one of our picnics or something, they get along fine.
Does that affect you at all?
What, their relationship?
Yeah.
No, it affected me when my mother left for those 2 years to go on her vacation. When she came back, when she had attempted suicide and it didn't work, and she came back.
Oh.
Yeah, she was a drug addict and alcoholic.
Oh.
So she just one day packed her stuff and moved to New York. And that was pretty much it, you know. She said she knew she couldn't be around us like that. So, and she couldn't kick the drugs. She didn't want to at the time. And then after 2 years, she couldn't take not being in our lives anymore and knew that she couldn't kick the habit. So she attempted suicide. And it didn't work. So she showed up at my grandparents' house, and they put her in rehab, and she's been clean and sober since I was 9 years old.
Okay, that's a good thing. That right there had the blessing.
Yep.
How do I get to the part with the father? Did he come back into our lives?
Well, when she came back, they did not speak at all. Half my family, like her siblings, nobody would talk to her. They didn't want anything to do with her. They were pissed off at her for what she did to us and the family. I never really had that feeling towards her. I immediately, the night I heard she was back, I had my father take me over to my grandparents so I could see her, and she's been my best friend ever since. But they didn't talk for years. They couldn't be in the same room together. But slowly, they started being cordial with each other, and now, I mean, it's like nothing. They walk in, hug and kiss each other. Hello, how you doing? We'll sit there and bullshit, whatever. It's better for us if they get along, so.
So how does it sound basically that you're more closer with your mom than you are with your dad.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think a lot of that stems from, even though my mother left, since she came back, she has always been there for me. Whereas my father is all about himself. You know, like I said, we moved around probably 11, 12 different times before I was even halfway through high school, because we were getting evicted all the time. Because instead of paying the rent and the electricity and the water bills, he would pretty much pay for the electric at the bar, you know, because that's where he would go every day after work.
Oh, that is selfish. That's very
Mhm.
selfish.
Oh, I couldn't even count how many times we've come home and there's no power, or there's no heat, or there's no hot water. You know, you take cold showers in the morning before you go to school, and I mean, that's pretty much how I grew up.
He needs help.
Oh, yeah, the stuff I was exposed to as a child was, which I'm realizing that, like, I've always known that it was inappropriate, but I think now it's like really starting to bother me, that he wouldn't own up to what he's done. And it's real funny that comes up, because I was on the phone with my mother last night, and I was telling her about, when I was in class yesterday, the professor put up different kinds of clients, difficult clients you'd have to deal with. And she's like, well, like, what kind of stuff did she put up there? So I was trying to remember, and I was listing what I could remember, and she's like, don't tell me which ones you picked. Let me see if I can get them. And I'm going through them, and when I said the yes but, she was like, bingo. And I was like, you got one. So then I said another one, and then I went to the person who blames everybody else, and she's like, there you go. And I said, those are the two I picked. And she's like, and let me guess, the whole time you were thinking about your father or your sister? And I was like, you know, honestly, neither one of them ever popped into my head. It was my daughter. It was Maria. She's like, leave my grandbaby alone. But now that I'm talking about it, I don't know how my father wasn't the first one, because growing up, you know, the bad shit that happened was always somebody else's fault. It was, you know, the boss didn't give him overtime, so he didn't have enough money to pay the cable bill. So, you know, we're not going to have cable for 6 months. Or, you know, they overcharged him somewhere, so he could only get macaroni and cheese for dinner. You know, there was always an excuse.